creeks. They don't quite come together, but everything
Yeah,
kind of converges,
into the
and
marsh
would
there. Yeah,
and would frequently flood.
yeah.
Hence Mud Valley.
Oh, okay, okay. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that's I on Google Earth once I or Google Maps I once followed those creeks all the way to where they run together, and they all run together there in Dundee, and then that turns into the Sugar Creek, which runs into the
Hmm.
Tuscarawas. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tuscarawas
which
River.
runs into the Ohio River, which runs into the Mississippi.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's one more step in. There's two more steps though. It's the Sugar Creek to the Tuscarawas to the. Oh boy, I forget.
Miss,
There's
to the
Muskingum
Muskingum,
to the
Muskingum,
Muskingum to the Ohio, I think. There's
Ohio. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Okay,
Uh-huh.
good. All right. But time's getting away from me here. I need to keep on rolling here. So, uh, family heirlooms. What are the most treasured family heirlooms that you know of, and where are they?
Hmm. I am not sure what kind of heirlooms I could even reference.
Well, there's the document you talked about, the contract. That's a pretty
Yeah,
big one.
that would be one.
Mm-hmm. What?
But
Okay.
as far as like tangible things, like pieces of furniture, pieces of china, I am not aware of or like an old gun. I'm not aware of anything like that.
Let's dig into that one a little bit. Why do you think that is? Because some families have a very distinct set of heirlooms that gets passed on from one generation to the next, but for the Beaches and the Millers, there is nothing. Why do you think that is?
Well, for for, for one thing, the Beaches were so poor
Uh huh.
that Cora, the widow Cora, my grandmother, her brothers came to her after the funeral with the grim news that you are so poor that your family will have to be dispersed to throughout Amish homes because you can't keep them together and care for them properly.
Mm-hmm.
So I there were no expensive thing. There
Mm-hmm.
were no expensive things to hawk, in
Mm-hmm.
order to raise money.
Yeah.
This was a poor family.
Yeah. So
Maybe that would be one. I don't know.
yeah, that would make sense. Now, one thing, I mean, actually, I think we have a pretty good clue that that probably is true. I'm speculating here, but the fact that Cora and Jake was actually contracted with an old couple just to have a place to live is probably a pretty good indication that he wasn't very well off when he got married.
That would be logical.
Yeah. And so I don't know if we could somehow dig further back into like Jake's history yet to figure out why that was. But the fact that he's an Amishman with no home place, that's saying something. For some reason, he does not have a farm to farm really himself.
Whereas, and here this is bordering on speculation, but I think I have gathered this sentiment. I could not say where that Jake Beachy, his wife Cora, the widow Cora, that her brothers were actually all fairly well-to-do farmers,
Hmm.
and so there was a certain level of disdain in the family for brother-in-law Jake,
Huh.
who
Okay.
had a hard time making things go.
For whatever reason that might
Yeah.
be. Okay. Huh. Okay. Interesting. All right. So there's nothing really on the no heirlooms really on the Beachy side because of that,
No.
but on the Miller side, I mean, I guess there's Grandpa's popcorn popper.
I remember. Do you
Hang on,
remember that?
hang on 1 second. I've got something to show you. I forgot about this one. This is Cora's cast iron skillet.
Oh, that is right.
Yeah. Uh,
That's right.
grandma wanted to, your mom wanted to get rid of it for whatever reason, and Stephanie and I had just gotten married, so she gave it to us as a wedding gift.
Yes, I remember that.
Hmm.
Actually, that would be one heirloom. On the Louis Davis side,
Hmm.
I am aware that there was in the family a very slick rifle.
Oh yeah.
It was a gun that like broke at it didn't have a bolt action, but it broke and then and was hinged, and then you would put the cartridge just like into the barrel and then click it back up again.
Hmm.
And my dad, your grandpa, as the oldest son, I believe has that gun somewhere. I need to ask about that.
Hmm. That'd be neat. Huh. Okay. So there might be a
It's
rifle somewhere.
it hasn't been fired for so long that I wouldn't want to just put a shell in there and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that would have to be around somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Dad,
And
I'm just.
the reason I remember is that as boys riding ponies, that would be our carbine
Ah.
as we would be fighting Indians
Yeah. The cavalry coming across the hill.
out on the Great Plains with the
Yeah.
cavalry.
Yeah.
And
Wow. I see. We had cap guns. You had a real one. I see. Okay. So I'm just just trying to kind of wrap up the heirloom question, and I'm glad that the assignment asked me to ask that question because I never thought of asking that before. But what do you think about this hypothesis? Even today, uh, in the like with my aunts and your brothers and sisters, my aunts and uncles, and I'd say even somewhat amongst my cousins, and with your dad, it seems like we definitely, as a family, are not so much into things as we are into ideas and experiences. So, so it seems like the family as a whole likes to read and likes to talk
Mhm.
and like to play softball, things like that. But they were much more intangible experiences rather than actual things you can get your hands on. And maybe it's just that sort of predilection toward that actually is why we don't really have heirlooms. They just were never a big deal to us.
That's true.
Whatever.
That's interesting.
Yeah, whatever. Just some food for thought there. Okay, I'm going to kind of get into the last home stretch here, so we can start to wrap this up. Let me see here. Ah, yes. Let's go talk a little bit about church membership. So yeah, so another part of the question I've got here that I'm supposed to sort of a line of thought I'm supposed to pursue is to take a look at political activity and church membership. Now, I don't think there's any political activity to speak of. Do you know of anything?
No,
Yeah.
no. Uh, a apolitical. With there
Yeah.
just there was the extent of quote political activity would have been at one time the local school district wanted a certain number of Amish board members,
Okay.
and so there would be some school board members from the Amish church. Though I don't know that any of my I would not know any of your ancestors that were actually
Hmm.
school board members.
Yeah. And that's borderline not even political. I mean, it's obviously they're voted
Yeah.
on, and it's kind of working for the government, but it's not really politics. Okay, all right, that makes sense. So let's go on to church membership then. So obviously the family is very deeply rooted in the Amish, but can you describe um, can you describe how being Amish has impacted your family in good ways and bad ways?
I think we've already discussed some of the good ways when we talk about our family lore and the family, the sense of identity
Mm-hmm.
and so on. Being Amish means that you remain geographically connected. You stay close together
Mm-hmm.
because you have limited, mode of transportation. So um, that keeps the family closer together, able to get together to have reunions,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. So that was a good thing.
Just
The
one question before you move on any further with that is how many of your brothers and sisters don't live within 20 miles of you?
Well, so David lives on a parcel off the home farm,
So he didn't fall his that apple didn't fall very far from the tree.
and we can buy the back road from Walnut Creek down through Mud Valley and Goose Bottom. We can be at Mom and Dad's place in 5 minutes.
Okay, you didn't fall very far. Okay, yeah.
Okay? And of course, Daniel lives on the home place. Neoma would live in Berlin, so they can hitch the horse and drive there within less than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And Ruth lives in the Berlin area. They can be there in 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Becky lives in Wilmot. They can be there in 15 minutes. Christina lives in the Weinsberg area. They can be there with their horse and buggy in less than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Mariana
Mm-hmm.
married Dean Wengard, who was a local boy, and then they moved to Tennessee, so they would be 8 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
But that was primarily because they were leaving the Amish church, and rather than stay in the community and leave the Amish church, they moved away to leave the
Hmm.
Amish church.
I see. Okay, because that was easier.
That was easier.
Okay, interesting.
And,
Yeah.
and Barbara, my youngest sister, lives in Kentucky, where where she went to teach school at a private school, and married a local boy, and stayed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's pretty clear. So the boys are all very close. All live very close to the home place
Mhm.
there, but the girls obviously are a little bit more susceptible to moving because they often join their husbands wherever they're kind of from. So that's it's very typical, I'd say, there. Okay, but I only have two that are actually out of state. Okay, but your point was that being Amish meant that people are very geographically close. But that's really ironic then that when Mariana left the Amish, that actually like being Amish actually drove her away because she didn't actually want to stay around in the community. So it kind of had the adverse inverse effect there.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
The
so your
the other
first
side of the coin.
the other side of the
The other
coin,
side
yeah.
of the coin there.
Yeah. So you said that being Amish has kept everyone generally geographically close. What's another impact that being Amish has had on the family?
Being Amish has had this. I would put this here again. We could debate this. It would depend on your perspective, but I would say that being Amish has had this impact, that we have in the family the we have family members with IQs that could that were never maximized. They never maximized their potential because they were Amish and were not permitted to extend their education.
Okay, yeah. Are you talking about yourself in some in on one hand there?
I would put me in that group.
Yeah.
There